A number of agencies we have spoken to have told us that having the right talent is their number one challenge to agency growth. Bodie Czeladka, creative and managing director at Dilate Digital, explained how he solved this problem and how this led to his agency's success. Back in 2012, when Dilate Digital was in its infancy, Bodie faced common challenges many agencies face: pricing for services and hiring staff.
I remember my first sort of retainer, they said to me, how much do you charge? And I remember going away and calculating how much my mortgage was and how much my running costs were. And I said, oh, that looks like a pretty good monthly fee. And I flicked that to them. And it served me well at the time and moving forward.
Producing results for those initial clients opened other opportunities. The referrals kept coming and it was time to build the team up. And Bodhi approached that in an interesting manner.
I met a guy on Gumtree by the name of Balu, and he was looking for a job. It was a love story, to be honest. He was in love with a woman who had moved to Australia and he wanted to come out. So he applied to a role. And back then I was very small, 1-man, 2-man shop. And I was, using Gumtree as an advertising platform, believe it or not, which is probably like a Craigslist in Canada. And he applied for a role, but then he said, if we want a bit more of support, we've got, plenty of talented, amazing people over here. So he invited me to come out. And so after a lot of sleepless nights, I jumped on a plane and went to an area called Hyderabad. And now that I look back on it, I actually think it was a good decision, but it was very silly. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I didn't tell anyone who I was meeting. I literally just had faith in this person I met online in a 30-minute to an hour conversation and then traveled over to meet them. And could have gone bad, but it went really good. So we interviewed about 60 people in 4 days. And out of those 60 people, we ended up with our first team of 4. One of those guys is one of my really good friends, and he worked with me up for 10 years.
As the agency scaled, Bodhi realized the need for a unifying mission statement for the growing team.
Our mission statement is to be the most respected agency in Australia. There's no prize to be the biggest company. So if we have to pull the brakes in order to maintain that title of being a respected agency, that comes back to doing the right thing.
The walls at the Dilate office display different phrases like great business and better every day. They inspire the team to reach for new heights to make their clients successful. Mission and vision statements are just part of the puzzle. Crafting and maintaining a fun company culture is another huge priority at Dilate. Bodhi discovered an agency structure that worked really well to facilitate company culture.
We have pods within the business, so it's not like a silo setup. It's kind of like micro teams. And I had SEO person, PPC person, content person, everyone you would need to deliver an outcome. And they work in these smaller clusters, which gives them that culture and that vibe because it's a smaller environment.
This structure worked well for team culture, but it still did not solve some issues for Dilate Digital's remote staff.
It is quite isolating and quite lonely. And I think you need to do things to make people feel like they're still part of the team, even though they may not be physically in the office.
To bridge that gap between remote and office-based staff, Bodhi decided to experiment with some fun activities.
Every Friday, for example, they jump on a Google Meet call and they have these online games. It's like a Pictionary drawing game that they do. It's called Gartic Phone. It's very engaging. Like you get a word and you've got to draw a word and everyone has to guess the word. And you get to see some of the people who aren't from the design department and how bad they are at drawing.
And what fun would a Friday afternoon game be without a nice, cold, refreshing beverage?
So we have our own Dilate beer here. So it's the Better Everyday XPA. And there's a fridge full of them out there. So everyone cracks a beer on a Friday at sort of 4 p.m. and gets on this game and just has some banter and has some fun, and lets some steam from the week off. And I think that's really good going into the weekend. Like if you can send everyone off with a feeling like they've accomplished something, but they also had some fun doing it. So that kind of work hard, play hard mentality.
Fast forward 7 years, Bodhi decided to focus on his own work-life balance while positioning Dilate for further growth.
I started it as a sole founder, but I actually sold a big chunk of it. Yeah, I sold 35% in 2018 to a guy who's the other side of the brain. He's CPA accountant, business advisor, 15 years in that space. He's got 3 young kids, beautiful man, Tom Parker, and he came in and I had this in here, but he helped me to kind of extract it out. Like to give you an idea, we split the roles and it's kind of like a traction model where I take a visionary role, he takes an integrator role, and I might come to him with, say, 10 ideas in a day, and he'll say, these 8 are shit, these 2 are good, and I'm going to implement this one. And that's really important because, I have lots of great ideas, but getting them actually implemented and rolling them out and then seeing them come to fruition, that's what I love. And
Bodhi's ultimate goal is to build a legacy within Dilate Digital. He hopes more people will step up in the business, causing him to dilute even more of his shares and have more people benefiting from its growth.
I picked another 3 guys who have been with me, sort of 5-6 years plus, and I sold another 5% to each of them. So I actually only own half of the business now. That's to incentivize them to lead their teams and to give them something for their loyalty and time and investment, and to sort of, create something better for their families and all the rest of it.
In the early days, Dilate Digital grew with no real advertising themselves.
We grew from 2012 to 2016 with no real marketing activity for ourselves. It was primarily word of mouth and referrals. We still get the largest amount of our business from word of mouth and referrals, but now we also perform quite well from an organic standpoint, ranking for most terms within our geolocation, and even now in the eastern states, Sydney and Melbourne, which helps as well. That's made things easier, obviously, walking the talk for ourselves. But in the earlier days with word of mouth referrals, you couldn't turn that off as well. So, and with organic rankings, you can't turn that off. So, we're getting typically a few hundred leads a month, and we're probably only taking on 10% of those inquiries into the agency. So we're probably leaving a lot on the table, but what we're also doing is creating a bit more of an oversubscribed model where we're picking, choosing those businesses that we can really help, and then pointing the ones that we can't to strategic partnerships, training, workshops, consulting, other areas where we can help them.
We ask, as a growing and busy agency, how does Dilate Digital ensures client loyalty?
If you're not talking to your customer and you're not finding out how that data is translating to real world results and outcomes for their business, you're going to fall down every time. We've had clients stop with us because we've given them too many leads too quickly, and it's caused operational problems, and then they've had to go into another phase of HR recruitment. And so you have to understand the challenges that businesses are facing, so you give them the right volume and growth at the right time for what they need.
It's important for Dilate Digital to be doing the right things for their clients, despite what the clients sometimes think they want.
Doesn't always work. It's not right for every business, even to the point of not understanding the difference between, intent and interruption, and where intent comes into play, and how you can't use like a Facebook or an interruption campaign for something that you should be using an intent campaign, because you need to educate the market. So things like that, and just knowing when that medium's not right, even though the customer might be asking for it, but the thing is they probably heard a buzzword at their BNI meeting or something, or their Chamber of Commerce meeting, and someone said, "You need SEO," and he goes, "Yeah, I do," and then he goes and starts searching it. But you got to just make sure each service is right.
With great clients, an amazing team, and a steadily scaling agency, Bodhi has a unique definition for success.
I stopped coming here a long time ago for the money. I believe that, if you've got a special skill set that can help people and you can be in the service of others, there's no better way to spend your time. So I come here every day to serve my clients, and I come every day to serve these guys who are aspiring to do things like start families, and we're quite a young organisation, so start families, buy their first house, do all of those things. So I work hard for those guys who have been, and the longer they've been here, the more trust, the more loyalty, the more I want to invest in them as well, because they've given to me and to the company, so I want to give back to them as well.
Putting people first, employees as well as clients, is Bodhi's recipe for Dilate Digital's success. By striving to leave them better than they found them, Bodhi and his team are creating a business and helping create other businesses that are better every day. Looking for more details on Bodhi and the Dilate Digital success story? Check out the links in the description. See you on the next Agency Combinator video from AgencyAnalytics.